Hi everyone, welcome to the Quipster Film Review Podcast. My name is Vince Leo. I am the film critic for the website Quipster.net. Check out all of my written work at Quipster.net. QWIPSTER.net is where to go. Today I'm going to be looking at a film called Equity. It's out in a very limited selection of theaters around the country. It's a drama. I guess it kind of plays out like a thriller in some ways too. It's R-rated because of language, and it runs an hour and 40 minutes. The cast includes Anna Gunn, James Purefoy, Sarah Megan Thomas, Alicia Reiner, and Craig Bierko. The director is Mira Menon, and the screenplay is by Amy Fox. If you've seen the trailers for Equity, you know that this is a movie that seeks to be a Wall Street film that is made by and primarily starring and features characters who are mostly women. This is a movie about women playing in a business medium generally dominated by men. It's made by female filmmakers who are playing in this entertainment-based business medium generally dominated by men. So it's a look into a world of people that we don't get to see showcased very much in Wall Street films. Usually women who appear in Wall Street films, whether it's in Wall Street or whether it's in The Wolf of Wall Street or whether it's in The Big Short, tend to be strippers or prostitutes or agent of vice that gets put into this very male-dominated world. The subject matter looks into the ruthless world of Wall Street, this one showcasing the trials and the tribulations of a few women in the corporate ranks and how their lives are affected by the play for money and power within this high-stakes business world where women are expected to produce, but if they're too aggressive, their clients and colleagues tend to see their actions in a much more negative light for doing that which a male counterpart would often be praised for. There's also this underlying quid pro quo to many of the interactions that the women have, especially with their male colleagues and some of their clients. Discussions often lead to a bit of flirtatiousness. There's a lot of sweet talking involved, and sometimes the women even have to use their sexuality to gain the attention and the favorable standing among some of those male cohorts. Breaking Bad's Anna Gunn is the star. She's playing a woman named Naomi Bishop. She's this self-made, very shrewd, very successful investment banker who's made great gains in launching highly successful IPOs for their corporations, though her most recent less than stellar effort, in which she was pulled kind of at the last minute from representing just before launch because her male clients thought that she wasn't representing her side of things as well. Maybe some sexism involved there. And her getting pulled from that had been seen in the media as a black mark on her career. Her latest client is this potential billion-dollar social media business named Cachet that prides itself on hiring skillful hackers whose know-how have made its CEO confident that all of its clients' data is safe and secure from any and all attacks. The film also spotlights two other women related to this event. There's Erin, who is Naomi's protégé in the firm. She's the vice president who's been anxiously awaiting seeing more money and more opportunities come her way, especially now that she has a baby on the way. And then there's also Naomi's friend from way back, Samantha, who is now working as a federal prosecutor for the Justice Department, who's reemerged in Naomi's life because of an investigation of alleged securities fraud, not necessarily by Naomi, but perhaps she is, something that the film goes into as it plays. Equity is filmed on a very modest budget, but I do think that it rises above its limitations and some of its inherent jargon-heavy talkiness through having a very solid cast. There's an especially strong central performance from Anna Gunn, an Emmy Award winner, certainly deserving of a great deal of praise for her work here. There's some deft direction by Mira Menon in keeping it all together and making it feel a little bit more exciting, even though there's a lot of talking heads in the movie. The film does have a really good look, good sound, professional sheen in its lighting, its cinematography. The electronic score keeps the tempo moving with some intrigue and flair. It feels like a thriller, even though at its core it's a drama. Also impressive is the quality of the characterizations and the writings. There's this very solid screenplay from Amy Fox. She's a playwright and she's also a screenwriter. I think this is only her second feature film. Amy had worked with an idea that she was introduced to by her co-stars, Thomas and Reiner, who play Erin and Samantha, so they also serve as producers of this film. So definitely definitely a very female-centric film, both in front of and behind the camera. Naomi Bishop here is seen as a woman who's dedicated her entire life to her career, foregoing marriage and kids to get where she is today, and that's something that seems to rankle many a man around her, who many of them expecting to use their charms on her to get what they want, and she also wrestles with whether to continue to push forth to promote her underling, the married Erin, when she hears that Erin has a baby on the way, knowing that Erin's time, is invested in perhaps her family. Her interest, her focus may not be where it needs to be when the work needs a quick and calculated decision. So she can't necessarily count on her, or at least she's wrestling with the fact that she might not be able to. Now, while the insider business side of things is rife with choice material, I think less authentic in its delivery is the means of gathering information within this movie, whether by Samantha's fraud investigation or through finding leaks for information among several key characters. I think that's where the film starts to strike some false notes, even though obviously a lot of this is well consulted, well researched by the people who made it. While the conduct is believable among the characters, there's still this very contrived nature to the conversations that involves secrets and culpability. It should take more effort to squeeze out than what's shown in this movie, perhaps just done this way in order to take a few shortcuts and keep the movie rolling without being too bogged down in the intricate details of how the business side works. So in a way it makes it more watchable for most people, but yet for those who are looking for a more realistic take, you're not going to really get that as much here. Nevertheless, I do think that it does showcase a side to insider business dealings that's not otherwise covered in other films of its ilk, especially from the female side of things. Now, it won't supplant Oliver Stone's Wall Street as the pinnacle of slimy stock market movies, but I do think that fans of that seminal 1980s film should definitely give this modern update a look, and so I'm going to recommend Equity as a 3-star film. 3 stars out of 4 on my scale means that I do think that it's a worthwhile film for those people who like this kind of movie. If you like dramas, especially female-driven dramas, and you want to see a take to these kinds of movies, these Wall Street insider looks that are definitely intriguing and very topical, but done so in a manner that showcases a different side of things than you're used to seeing, especially when compared to, say, The Wolf of Wall Street or The Big Short, which were definitely very male-oriented. I think that Equity offers a little bit more nuance than you would typically get from those sorts of releases. So for those people who like those kinds of movies, it's worthwhile viewing, and you should probably check it out, if not in the theaters, because it is playing in a limited selection of theaters. I think this kind of movie, to be honest with you, works better when watched at home, because it does have a very made-for premium cable channel kind of feel to it. It will feel much more at home when it's playing on HBO or whatever the equivalent channel that it plays on. So Equity, keep a lookout for it. I definitely think that it's worth your time if you're interested in good business side dramas. Thank you everyone for listening. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you're a first-time listener, I do encourage you to click the subscribe button to continue to get all of my reviews downloaded to your podcast player all throughout the year. If you've been listening for a while and you want to support the show, you can leave a review on iTunes, or you can go to patreon.com/Quipster, because this is a very costly podcast to keep going. So I hope that, if I'm able to save you some money by steering you toward the right movies, then I'm looking for your support. Also, don't forget, you can reach me. You can go to my website, find out my contact information. That's quipster.net, QWIPSTER.net, where you can also find links to my Twitter feed and Facebook page so that you'll always know when I post a new review. Thanks, everyone.